Very uncertain for the entire league in general, but you're a free agent for the first time. Have you thought about what free agency might look like for you if you'd like to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit. But I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously, with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come. But I've built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people. I love the fans. So we'll see what comes.
Wow, this is unbelievable. Lexi Hull just dropped a bombshell that has Fever fans completely stunned. She's officially leaving Indiana. And yes, it's the very same Lexi who's been Caitlin Clark's steady running mate through all the chaos of their rookie season. Now she's gone. Honestly, the fans are freaking out. What went wrong here? And what does this mean for Caitlin, as well as the entire Fever squad? Before we break it all down, what's your first reaction? Do you believe she made the right move? Because, let's be real, this one hurts.
Natasha tweeted and was just saying a bunch about pride and how proud she was of this team. Have you kind of had similar emotions the last couple of days, and how do you balance that with a very painful ending to the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think like following the game, it's so disappointing to lose. And most seasons end on a loss, so it's really hard and challenging. But I think when you sit back and think about our year and everything that we were able to accomplish with the circumstances that we were faced with.
You see, Lexi Hull wasn't just some random name on the roster. She was one of the few players who actually showed real grit when the season completely fell apart. We're talking about a player who dove on the floor, chased down every loose ball, and did all those crucial little things that never make the highlight reels. But here's the catch. Her contract situation was already shaky. She was a restricted free agent, which meant Indiana could have kept her by matching other offers. Still, the fact that Lexi is now speaking like someone already packing her bag says it all. When an athlete keeps repeating words like uncertainty and we'll see what comes, you don't need a translator. That's basically athlete code for, I'm out of here.
Very uncertain for the entire league in general, but you're a free agent for the first time. Have you thought about what free agency might look like for you if you'd like to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit. But I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously, with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come. But I've built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people. I love the fans. So we'll see what comes. Elliot?
Now, let's rewind a little, because Lexi's exit didn't just happen out of nowhere. The Fever season was, to put it mildly, an absolute mess. Between constant injuries, rotations that made no sense at all, and the non-stop noise surrounding Caitlin Clark, it's honestly a miracle the team didn't collapse back in June. Through all that, Lexi was one of the rare steady forces. No matter if she was starting, coming off the bench, or even playing out of position, she always showed up, and then came her interview. You could practically hear the exhaustion in her voice, the disappointment, and that unmistakable "I'm over this" vibe. She said she loved Indiana, loved the fans, loved the people. But here's the kicker. She never once said she loved what was happening inside the franchise. That silence spoke louder than any quote could. When she mentioned, "I've built a life here," it wasn't a promise to stay. It was a cleverly disguised goodbye speech. She's smart. She knows how to walk away without burning bridges. And let's be real, the timing couldn't be more intentional. The Fever are staring down one of the most uncertain off-seasons in years. Caitlin Clark recovering from injury, CBA negotiations unraveling, whispers of a 2026 lockout, and now Lexi, one of Caitlin's closest teammates, deciding to leave. If that's not a massive red flag for the franchise, then I honestly don't know what is.
It's better. I'm excited to sit down and not do anything for a little bit. Yeah.
For you, what was this season like in terms of the different iterations and the different versions of yourself that you had to play, different roles, shooting, defense, diving, all those different things?
Yeah, I mean, the year, I feel like my role changed throughout the course of the year. I think continuing to just show up as my best self, regardless of starting or not, or playing more on the ball defensively or off, whatever the night looked like, I feel like my ability to adapt grew throughout the year. And that's something that I think I can continue to work on my game, is being flexible and being able to really just do whatever the team needs. And this year, I think everyone on our team was challenged.
Lexi's interview also exposed something much deeper. she's clearly exhausted by the chaos surrounding the team. She spoke about constantly adapting to new roles, how the lineup kept changing, and how players were expected to show up and perform no matter what the night demanded. Translation: absolutely zero consistency. She never knew which version of the Fever she'd be walking into each game, and honestly, she wasn't wrong. Coach Stephanie White was shuffling lineups like she was experimenting with random combinations, hoping something might stick. One night, Lexi was guarding wings. The next, she was a catch-and-shoot specialist. And then suddenly, she was the defensive anchor on switches. That's an insane amount of pressure and instability to dump on one player without any rhythm, structure, or consistent role.
Moving forward, just every single thing we face, I think, is something that we won't forget. Like the injuries, the playing through people that playing with groups that we are just haven't even practiced with for the first time in games. Like we were faced with so much uncertainty. So I think there isn't like one pinpoint game where I'm like, I'll remember that game. It's almost just.
Still, Lexi handled it all better than most. Even her comments about adapting and being flexible weren't just generic answers. That was her polite way of saying, I kept my mouth shut and did what I was told. And then came the part where she mentioned being excited about Unrivaled. Oh, she's not heading home just to rest. She's joining the Unrivaled League, the brand new off-season project led by none other than Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. And that, my friends, says everything you need to know about where players' heads are right now. They don't trust the WNBA system anymore. They want something that gives them more control, more visibility, and frankly, more money. Lexi's move isn't just about basketball, it's about security. She knows the WNBA could plunge into lockout chaos next season, so why not invest her energy into something more stable, with a clearer future? It also reveals a lot about her loyalty. She didn't say a single negative word about Caitlin Clark. In fact, when asked, she sounded genuinely emotional, saying it was really hard to watch Caitlin battle injuries and not be able to compete. The respect was obvious. But here's the kicker. She didn't say, I'm staying to help her bounce back. Instead, she said she was proud of Caitlin's fight. That's a very nice, very classy way of saying goodbye, and that's where things get really interesting. If Lexi Hull, one of the most team-oriented, positive players you'll ever find, is walking away, that means morale inside Indiana is dangerously low. Because Lexi isn't the type to run from a challenge. She literally said in that same interview that her biggest strength was her competitiveness and will to win. So, if she's leaving, it's not because she's scared. It's because she's tired. Tired of uncertainty. Tired of instability. And probably tired of being on a team where one player soaks up all the headlines while everyone else gets ignored. Now, let's be clear, it's not Caitlin's fault. But it is the harsh reality. The media doesn't care about anyone else on the Fever. When Caitlin sneezes, it's a headline. When Lexi dives on the floor for the 10th time in a row, nobody notices. That wears you down. Eventually, you start thinking, you know what? Maybe I'll go where I'm actually appreciated. And then came the fan reaction. Social media exploded the second the news dropped. Some fans were devastated, others shrugged it off with it's business, she'll be fine. But the common thread? Everyone knows this hurts Caitlin Clark more than anyone. Caitlin's inner circle in Indiana was already tiny. Lexi wasn't just a teammate. She was a genuine friend. They practiced together, gave joint interviews, and were often the only two still smiling during the ugliest losses. Now Caitlin enters next season with even fewer people she can trust in that locker room. Add in the timing with ongoing CBA negotiations, and Lexi's words about uncertainty hit even harder. That wasn't filler. That was her acknowledging that every player is on edge about pay, leadership, and the league's direction. Truthfully, Lexi probably made up her mind months ago. She saw the same chaos we all did. As a restricted free agent, she likely decided early. If things didn't dramatically improve, she was gone. She also pointed out she wants to grow offensively, a huge statement. Because her biggest criticism in Indiana was inconsistency on offense. Defensively, she was rock solid. But her rhythm on the other end was shaky, likely because her role kept changing every week. At Unrivaled, she'll get more touches, more freedom, and a faster pace that suits her game. And honestly, good for her. It's refreshing to see a player take control of her own path instead of waiting around for a front office that clearly has no plan. So, what does this mean for Indiana? Simple. They just lost one of their most important glue players. Scorers can be replaced. Glue players? Not so much. Lexi defended, hustled, brought energy, and never complained. Now she's gone, and Caitlin is left as the clear franchise centerpiece, surrounded by even more question marks. Who steps up? Who defends the perimeter? Who keeps the energy high when the team falls apart mid-game, which happened plenty last season? And please, don't say they'll just draft someone new. You can draft talent. You can't draft chemistry. You can't draft trust. Right now, Indiana feels more like a revolving door than a stable team. The irony cuts deep. Lexi said she was proud of how the team fought for the players who couldn't be out there. That line stings, because Caitlin wasn't out there for much of the season. And now, one of the key players who did fight for her won't be there either. That's not poetic, it's tragic. Fever fans finally had a core to believe in. Caitlin, Lexi, Aaliyah Boston, and a handful of others. And now that core is unraveling before it ever reached its potential. If management doesn't fix things fast, this franchise risks becoming nothing more than a one-player show. And that's a death sentence for a team already fighting for credibility. The big takeaway. Lexi Hull leaving isn't just a roster move. It's a massive red flag. And the real question now is this. What happens to Caitlin Clark? Because let's face it, this isn't just a minor inconvenience for her. It's a gut punch. Lexi wasn't just another teammate. She was the balance, the calm, the steadying presence in a locker room drowning in noise. Without Lexi, Caitlin enters year 2 with even more pressure to score, to lead, to defend, to deal with the media, and to keep her composure while the whole basketball world watches. That's a mountain of responsibility for a 23-year-old. And now she has to do it without the teammate who always had her back. But maybe, just maybe, this is the moment Caitlin grows into the leader everyone expects her to be. Last year, she was the spark, the rookie phenom. This year, she has to be the adult in the room. No more leaning on veterans. No more quiet sidekick. It's all on her. And that might not be a bad thing. Her fiery competitiveness has always been both her edge and her burden. Now, with Lexi gone, she has no choice but to channel it into leadership. The flip side? Lexi's departure sends a message to the rest of the locker room. If she can walk away, anyone can. That could either light a fire or tear things apart. Either way, Caitlin has to manage the fallout. More communication. More accountability. Less I'll do it myself. Because here's the brutal truth. You can't build a winning franchise around one superstar while letting the people who hold it together slip away quietly. And unless Indiana's front office wakes up, next season could get very ugly. Lexi Hull leaving stings for Caitlin, for the fans, for the Fever's entire culture. But it might also be the push Caitlin Clark needs to finally grow into the undeniable leader she's meant to be. Here's the question. Will Lexi's exit force Caitlin to rise? Or is this just the start of a much bigger meltdown in Indiana?